All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to IPG's trade rep pick sessions. I will be sharing the PowerPoint here once I figure out how to share my PowerPoint. All right, so this rep pick session is all about holiday and gift title favorites for the indies. We also want to give you a quick heads up that we are going to be at a couple more fall regionals to round out the season here. My name's Brianna, and I'm the Western Trade Rep, and I will be at PNBA. I'll be at booths 20 and 21 in the exhibit hall and also participating in the Big Pitch Rep Pick session. And we're having a signing with one of our authors for finding your third place in the booth. I will also be at MPIBA in the exhibit hall.
And I'm Travis. I'm the rep for Central States. I will be at Heartland next month, and I'll be presenting rep picks at the Rep Picks Breakfast on Tuesday, October 8th from 8:30 to 10 in the morning. And then we'll also be in the Crystal Barroom on the fifth floor. We'll be at tables 562 to 566 with some really fantastic titles for you to look at. And then we also wanted to let you know about a promo that we're doing with Fingerprint Publishing. They're a relatively new publisher for us. This is an introductory offer for the hardcover classics and box set books that they have. These are some truly beautiful classic editions with embossed covers, gold foiling on the pages, like silk ribbon bookmarks that will shine on your shelves, especially with the upcoming holiday season. To qualify for the promo, you need to order a 20-unit minimum and you receive a 70% discount. You can place this order as many times as you'd like throughout the holiday season. It only runs through the end of October. And these books will all be non-returnable as well. Let me drop a link to that catalog here. And again, it's limited to titles within this catalog, and the deadline to submit your order is October 31st.
Yeah, and I'm Amy. I'm the Eastern Trade Sales Rep, and I just quickly add to that, along with everything Travis said, these titles, their list prices are like in the range of $12.99 to $29.99 on the top end. So they move really well with your readers, and then having that 70% discount makes for some really nice margins for you as well. And I wanted to also take the time to quickly introduce yet another key drop-in title for you all. This is From Hollywood to Hollywood. Author Paul Tweed is a renowned libel lawyer and works a lot in media law. I can't quite say yet, but there are several, and I do mean several, national media outlets, both in terms of print and television, interested in coverage and interviews with Paul. A press release with these full details will be coming soon, but we wanted to give you a sneak peek heads up here. But yeah, so Paul has been described as the most powerful man in Hollywood. He has been consulted by Britney Spears, Ashton Kutcher, Sylvester Stallone, Justin Timberlake, Liam Neeson, Harrison Ford, Sinead O'Connor, Sarah Ferguson, and on across the globe. Often his cases are relatively headline grabbing and, you might even say like explosive in terms of their scandal. So he really dives into what is it actually like to represent not only these very famous people, but these very outsized large scandals. But beyond these celebrity cases, what I think is actually really interesting about this book is Paul also shares a lot of really compelling, like legal insights into approaching class action suits against major gaming and social media platforms, as well as tech companies, in an effort to, or an acknowledgement rather, of the screen addiction in teens for being on these sites so much and what that might say, and how that might alter the law going forward, as well as he's looking at a lot of cases with the troubling potential of fraud and libel through the use of generative AI. So yeah, just some really interesting stuff. I think a really fascinating read for anyone interested in media law or just some celebrity gossip. This is from Marion Press. It pubs on October 22nd. List price $19.99. It is a trade paperback, and a lot of the media that I mentioned should be surfacing right around pub date as well. So I think it'll get a fair amount of buzz when it lands. And before we dive into our collection, just a quick reminder of our fall 2024 rep specials. So we have our top shelf special, which is for any fall title that has that top shelf label. With a $200 net minimum order, you'll receive a plus 5% discount, net 60 dating, and free freight. So another opportunity maybe for some great gift titles. Our general fall front list special is a $150 net minimum order of any fall title. And that's a plus 3% discount, net 60 dating, and free freight. And similarly, the backlist special, which is exactly the same as the front list special, except for any title published prior to fall 2024. So that's what we have. Make sure to take advantage of these, that you send your order directly to your rep, and that way we'll get it coded correctly for you.
All right, we can go ahead and jump into our titles here in Edelweiss. So these are all our holiday and gifty titles for the season. And starting off, we kind of go from the more holiday themed books down to some more that are just greater gifty hand selling titles. So first up, we have A Christmas Carol from the Oxford Children's Classics. And I just love plugging this series every time I get. But these are beautiful classics that have these nice foiled covers. They look beautiful on the shelf together. And what's really great about these classics is that they are the full unabridged text of the story. And they always have forewords by a more contemporary author. So the foreword to this one is Neil Gaiman talking about discovering Charles Dickens in his grandparents' grandfather clock, where they kept their Charles Dickens books. And as you read the story, at the end, it is full of 20 or 30 extra pages of supplemental material. So it does things like the historical context of the novel, other questions that you might be thinking about, and answers to dive into, the timeline of the author to get to know them, glossaries of words because it is Oxford, and other further prompts for kids to think about, like what did they think of the story, or what are some writing prompts for them to explore their own. So these are really great. They're also only $8.99. And so I really wanted to highlight A Christmas Carol because it's a great holiday one, but also because this is just a stunning classic series that is at a great price point and makes really great gifts.
Okay, this next one is my pick. This is Christmas Cookie Swap. This is from Oxmoor House. They're an imprint of TI Inc., and they also publish Southern Living, Better Homes and Garden, those types of cookbooks. I picked this because growing up, I came from a really large extended family, and we would always have Christmas at our house. And my mom was a big baker, so we would always talk about like, what cookies are we going to make this year? And I think this would be a perfect addition to that conversation. So it includes 120 favorite recipes ranging from eggnog, crackle cookies, and spiced sorghum snowflakes to cherry lemon candy canes and peppermint brownie bars. I am so glad I got that out. The book is broken down into 5 sections, which include chapters on cookies for Santa, a chapter on brownies and bars, and just confections in general. It includes a lot of additional helpful information, like what kind of frosting works best with certain types of cookies. And it also includes helpful recipes for royal icing, buttermilk frosting, and more. There's also tips on how to best display your holiday cookie platter, which I always struggle with, and how to store cookies, and also how to host a successful cookie swap, because you don't want to make everything in this. You want your friends to make some of them too, so that you can like trade off, right? So this is Christmas Cookie Swap from Oxmoor House.
Okay, this next one is mine. This is the Tremendous Christmas Activity Book from Buster Books. They are an imprint of Michael O'Mara. This one I think is just brimming with so much fun and Christmas and holiday cheer. There are about 43, I think there are 43 puzzles throughout with activities ranging from like a Santa's workshop, search and find to like holiday quizzes, a winter wonderland, like this ice skating fun where you like spot the differences between the two pictures, which I don't know, I'm always obsessed with those kinds of puzzles. Can I find how quickly can I find what's wrong or what's different? The book, as you see, features really bright and pretty colored pages throughout, a lot of really fun and lively illustrations. So I think not only does this make an excellent option for parents who have their kids home on winter break and they're looking for an activity to kind of keep them busy, where they're doing some last minute wrapping, what have you. I also think this can make an excellent gift just in general in terms of stocking stuffers or anything of that nature. I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay, this next one's mine. This is Disney manga Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Zero's Journey. This is from Tokyo Pop, and they have a licensing agreement with Disney that allows them to publish content from Disney's vault or archive. And they've been publishing side stories focusing on characters taken from the Tim Burton film, The Nightmare Before Christmas. This book collects all four previously published books in the Zero's Journey series into one volume. This is a brick of a book. It's a full color hardback in a graphic novel size, over 400 pages. And these are all new stories. I mean, new from the movie. They've been published previously, as I mentioned. But they focus on Jack Skellington's trusty ghost pup Zero, as he goes on a series of adventures in Christmas Town. These stories include some new characters, as well as the familiar, beloved characters from the original 1993 iconic holiday classic film. This is perfect for fans of the film, The Nightmare Before Christmas, as well as die-hard manga and graphic novel readers. And I want to note that if the price point on this is a little too high for you, we also have a paperback full color graphic novel adaptation of the film itself, which is also in our current fall catalog.
All right, now we have El Cascanueces. This is the Spanish translation of The Nutcracker by E.T.A. Hoffman. And I always think it's nice to be able to add some variety to your shelves with Spanish titles. And the editorial Alma does really beautiful classics. These are nice hardcovers. They are not jacketed, but they have that nice images on the hardcover themselves. They have these beautiful interiors, and they are illustrated throughout with different touches of color in the illustrations as well. So Editorial Alma does these really nice Gifty hardcovers of Spanish translations, and I really appreciate that they have a Christmas themed one.
Okay, this one is Festive from Pop Press. First of all, I just think this book is beautiful. It's really, as it says, festive, but it features anything from recipes to holiday styling for your home decor, family craft projects. As well as like homemade gift suggestions and directions. So it's anything and everything to do to make a very homey, very sort of traditional, cheery holiday vibe in your home. It has things like how to style a like holiday charcuterie board. There's like the handprint Santas I think are super cute for the cookies. There's also tips on like the traditions of some of what you see here. So like, why do we have stockings? Why do we decorate Christmas trees? Why do we do some of the things that we do in the holidays? So it's a really fun, I think, not only family fun activity book, but I also think it's a really great gift for new homeowners, maybe who are looking to make their home feel very festive, or first time, your first Christmas on your own. How do you make it feel yours? So I think it's great for all of that. But the other thing that I think is very cool about this book is throughout most of what you see for these suggested crafts and recipes and so on, they are almost all of them use very easy to find, low cost ingredients, a lot of like upcycling, like things that you probably already have around your home. So you can use, so it's very budget friendly, it's very sustainable, it's very, I think it kind of ties into, a lot of people that are maybe trying to be a little bit less commercial for the holidays. This book is that. So I think I don't know, I want it. So it's been added to my list, but I think it's a good one.
Okay, next up is Jane Austen's Christmas. This is from the History Press. This is just a really cute little short pocket-sized hardcover book that are full of short chapters exploring Christmas traditions in Georgian England. It was a time to sit around the fire with your friends and family and gossip about things going on in the world. The holiday season lasted in some cases through February, which seems like no, that's too long. There's an introduction that's really interesting, talking about a focus on frugality, especially during the Napoleonic Wars, which I think is kind of in contrast with a lot of people's mental image of what the holiday season would have looked like during Jane Austen's time, and drawing a kind of a contrast between like the Methodist frugality of Jane Austen's world with like the more Catholic, bigger celebrations in continental Europe, or at the actual court itself, ruled by German-born Queen Charlotte. But what I really like about this book are the chapters. They include recipes for Christmas dishes, updated for modern cooks. Obviously, if you're trying to do an exact replica of a 19th century or 18th century dish, it's not gonna like turn out well. Um, they also include poems written by Jane Austen when she was a child, excerpts from her novels describing Christmas scenes, newspaper articles relating holiday traditions, excerpts from letters between Jane Austen and her friends about the season, like who wore what where, who wore what where. Yes, that's it. And letters being very important both in Jane Austen's life and also in her books. There's even a one-act Christmas play she wrote in her childhood. And each chapter begins with a short introductory paragraph, which sort of helps to provide some background context, which I found to be really interesting too. So that's Jane Austen's Christmas.
Next, we have Just Snow Already from Flashlight Press. And my fun connection to this book is that this was actually published before I joined IPG, but it's one of the books I pitched as part of my interviews to join IPG. So this one is a really fun children's picture book that is all about a boy desperately waiting for it to snow because he's heard it might snow today, and that is all he can think about. So he runs around super excited about snow, keeps peering out his window, and it's super boring because it's not snowing yet. And he fails to notice all of the increasing madness that is starting to happen out on the streets. He also goes into an existential crisis about if it never snows again. And so this one, as you watch the child, be bored that there's no snow, wonder if life is ever going to be interesting again, you just see this madness continue out on the streets. And this is a really fun one because it's one of those books that you can read over and over again because not only do you get to live the child's excitement about snow, which I still share as an adult, but it's one of those books that you can keep reading with your kids, and as you read it, there's more and more details in the pictures for you to keep watching. And it's something that you can take your time going through because it really captivates their attention. Howard McWilliam is also known as the illustrator of the I Need My Monster books, which are some of IPG's best-selling children's picture books. And this is his authorial debut for this one. So this is a really fun book that's both about the excitement of snow, but also about the idea that maybe we should learn to calm down and appreciate the current moment that we are in and see what's around us.
Okay, so from British Library Publishing, we have Stories for Christmas and the Festive Season. So this is part of the British Library Women Writers series. This series I just love in general. But what it does is it takes women writers from the first half of the 20th century, takes their works that in most cases have gone out of print and puts them back in print in these delightful anthologies. This one, Stories for Christmas, as you might guess, is a collection of Christmas stories. It features stories from like Alice Munro, Muriel Spark, um, and many, many more. It also covers like a wide range of holiday themed stories. So this could be anything from, the joys to the disappointments of the holidays, the pressures and preparations of the holidays, um, all from the female perspective. Um, this one when it came out last fall was incredibly popular. I can only assume it will be so again. It's a really great, obviously, read for the holidays, but really just if you like any of these women authors, these are excellent, excellent short stories to have in this collection.
All right, next up, we have Why is this a question? And so we all know that lots of book people are fascinated by all those books that dive into, weird words, strange sayings, the weird rules of the English language. And this one is one of those books. What I love about this is that this one really deep dives into the nuts and bolts of language. So, why is this a question? Is all about everything you could want to know about the structure of language. And it asks questions like, why do our words go in the order that they do? Why do we have double letters? Why do languages have genders? And so it dives into some really fascinating questions that you may not have thought about. It's a really nice book because it's also just a paperback with that nice, lovely cover. So it's an easy book to pick up and take with you. And it is from a linguistics expert who runs a social media profile with over 90,000 followers in which he reveals daily word facts. And my favorite thing I learned from this is that the emphatic insertion of one word into another is called temesis. And when you use it with profanity, like saying abso-bloody-lutely, it's called expletive infixation. So it's got lots of fun random facts in there, perfect for anybody who wants a book about books and language.
Okay, next up, Bourbon Lore from Scott and Nix. So Scott and Nix are probably best known for their bird guide books, but this is their big guide to American whiskey as told through 100 bottles. So each bottle that's featured in the book comes from the collection of this guy, Mason Walker. He's an entrepreneur and whiskey enthusiast who has what I believe is widely regarded as the most extensive collection of American whiskey. So each bottle in his collection tells a story, and each story fits with others to create a grand narrative, not just about bourbon, but about American history itself. So this is both a guidebook and sort of like a wider history of bourbon in America. There's some really interesting information about how prohibition almost wiped out the bourbon industry in America. The author on this one, Clay Risen, is a reporter and editor at the New York Times and the best-selling author of 5 previous books on the history of whiskey. And I'm adding this here because it's perfect for your high-end whiskey drinking relative. Yeah, and I just think that the images are very pretty and make me kind of thirsty.
Okay, this next one, also from British Library, again for me, is The Book Lover's Almanac. I honestly could not be more excited for this book. It comes out November 12th, so just in time for the holidays, but it is a year of literary events, scandals, plot twists, letters, etc. And so by that I mean for each date of the year, you'll it's assigned one or more literary connections. So it could be, this is a pub date of a very famous book. Here's a dated letter from this author to another author that was on this day. It could have like excerpts from a story that takes place on a particular day. I think it has gorgeous artwork and illustrations throughout. It's hardcover, but it's only $29.99 for just shy of 300 pages. So I think it's a really easy gift to recommend for those who are looking for something to get for the book lover in their life or themselves. Because that's definitely what I did. It also, even though it's an almanac, it is essentially evergreen because it's not tied to any particular year. It's more just the date. So, like, what happened on May 5th? What happened on November 10th? So on and so forth. So it's just a really fun, lots of fun little tidbits of literary elements on each day of the year to, if nothing else, for your own amusement or to, share at parties for some fun literary small talk.
And now we have the Night Sky Almanac 2025, a Stargazer's Guide. And this one is one of my favorites because this is a nice, gifty little hardcover that is perfect for anybody who's interested in the night sky. It's only $16.99, but it's got this great, beautiful cover. And this is a worldwide guide. So even though it comes from Collins, UK, this has astronomical events for all around the world. I also really like it because as you go through, beyond just telling you what you can see in the sky and where you can see it, it also gives you lots of background information. It gives you things like astronomical histories and dates. And so there's a lot more context in there for anybody who's also interested in the history of the skies or wants to know some background context beyond just identifying what constellations they are seeing in the sky. So this is a really fun little gifty book to give to anybody who likes being outdoors and wants to go stargazing, or anybody who also just wants to know more about the stars and especially what's going on in the skies all around the world in 2025.
Okay, next up, More Than Two from Thornapple Press. So Thornapple does books about polyamory, and More Than Two is their Bible. This is for anyone interested in exploring polyamory, and this is the updated and revised second edition. It's also Thornapple's second best-selling title, right after Polysecure, which you might be familiar with. Their third best-selling title is Polywise. This book is broken up into four sections: laying your foundation, a non-monogamy toolkit, non-monogamous frameworks, and the non-monogamous reality. It provides some helpful information for anyone interested in exploring or currently navigating non-monogamy or polyamory. It's written in a very supportive tone, and it focuses on key concepts like trust, courage, discernment, ethics, and empowerment. And I added this here as a perfect gift for any friends of yours who might be interested in exploring polyamory, maybe a not so subtle gift to your partner that you want to open your relationship up, or just for yourself or someone who's in your polycule already. But this is More Than Two from Thornapple Press.
Apologies that my Edelweiss has decided to go rogue and be italicized everywhere.
Well, these are very special, italicized worthy books. Um, all right. Well, this one is the Stanley Cup. This is from it's a collection of Sports Illustrated journalism and photographs published by Triumph Books, and it covers essentially like the history of the Stanley Cup. So, like each year that the Stanley Cup has been awarded, the team that won it, sort of a little bit of the trajectory of that team's experience to get to the Stanley Cup. It has gorgeous photographs throughout. It has, again, really excellent, sort of, like I said, Sports Illustrated journalism of the coverage of each year's Stanley Cup. Um, this comes out on October 29th. It is hardcover, but it is quite large. This is like a hefty, weighty book in person. It feels almost like, even though it's more of a landscape orientation, it feels very much like a coffee table type of book. It has a matte, really nice feeling jacket on it. And even though it's kind of about like the rough and tough Stanley Cup hockey, it is a pretty book. Like it's a very pretty, very gifty book for that hockey fan in your life. This follows up last fall we had the World Series, so it was a similar um, format and setup covering the World Series. I think both of these, whether it's the World Series or now coming this fall, the Stanley Cup, I just think these are excellent histories of these well-known championships for any sports fan.
Yeah, I love this book. This is Weird Medieval Guys from PRH UK. This was in our spring catalog earlier this year, and I was really excited to see it because I followed the author Olivia Swarthout's Twitter and Instagram accounts with the same name. And I love the concept of this book because you get to explore what your medieval life would look like in a choose your own adventure type format. From selecting your medieval name, mine is Azorp. To choosing your patron saint, there's Saint Drogo, who is the patron saint of ugly people, which couldn't be me, and Saint Zeta, patron saint of lost keys. It's highly illustrated throughout with some truly bizarre images taken from medieval artwork and manuscripts. And I love this quote from Andrew Griffin. He is a writer from The Independent and was reviewing this as part of the best books to gift. He said, I genuinely struggle to think of a person who might not love it. If they enjoy one picture of an army of knights attacking a giant snail, then they'll enjoy the rest of the book. If they don't, then you should stop being their friend and you've solved the problem of buying them a gift either way. So that's Weird Medieval Books. Just a fun book.
All right, we have The Wisdom of Birds from Michael O'Mara. So, this is a book for the bird lover in your life, and it takes illustrations from John Audubon and puts his beautiful illustrations alongside different life lessons that we can learn from the birds. So, this features 50 different types of birds along with their life lesson and a little bit more about the bird. I really love this one because not only is it a Gifty hardcover at only $16.99, it's a beautiful book on the shelf. And I feel like a lot of these kinds of life lessons from the animals books don't necessarily also give you information about the animals. And so I like that this one really does dive into more a not only the lesson we can learn from the bird, but also giving you some information about them so you can still fulfill the fact that you like birds and want to know more about them. So this is a beautiful hardcover that just makes a great gift for anybody who loves nature, who loves birds, or who also just wants these beautiful illustrations from John Audubon as a wonderful coffee table book. And this follows up to their previous book, The Wisdom of Flowers.
Okay, this next one is from Editorial Alma. So this is a Spanish edition of Little Women. So first of all, as Brianna mentioned earlier with one of her selections, I do think it's nice to have some Spanish options on our shelves. And this one in particular with Little Women, not only do I think I always read and or watch Little Women around the holidays because it has some really great holiday scenes and moments. So I think from that perspective, it's perfect for this time of year. But even separate from that, this is just a really, really beautiful book, like almost like the type of book that one like me might covet, even like, yes, this is mine. So in addition to just how pretty the book looks and this excellent Spanish translation of Little Women, there were also, so this book actually will be shrink wrapped if you when you order it, and because inside there are removable like extra pieces of art and inserts related to the story in the book that you can pull out. So it'll have every, it could have like maps of the neighborhood. It will have like letters from the characters to each other. It might have like a portrait of a character. It's so I think that's really fun too to kind of lift out of the pages and explore more. So yeah, I love this one. I think it again so pretty, and a really strong translation and yeah, of a book that is great any time of year, but certainly around the holidays it adds a little extra cheer, fireside cheer.
Okay, Flight from the Dark from Home Guard Press. This is the first book in the Lone Wolf Junior series, which is an incredibly fun role-playing game that is a unique combination of Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing that follows a choose your own adventure type storyline. Um, the series was originally written starting in 1982. They've been reissued for a new generation of gamers and readers, and this junior edition is a simplified, stripped down version of the Lone Wolf books. These have like Scooby-Doo levels of horror or terror, and are intended for readers ages 7 through 9. The original series, not the young readers, is aimed at readers slightly older, ages 9 through 12. So the series, what I like about them is that they're simple to use. You really only need a pencil or a six-sided die, though both of those are optional. And they're also highly interactive. You get to make character sheets with different ability levels, similar to like D&D play. And each book can be read or played separately or combined into a unique role-playing epic spanning 32 books, which are further broken down into narrative arcs that span 5 to 6 titles. So each book can also be reread or replayed to follow a completely different adventure. And what I like about the younger reader edition or the junior series is that as readers progress through the series, they can also age up into the books meant for slightly older readers. And I also like that this is great for reluctant readers because it really does make it's a game, it's fun. And I love the illustrations. It very much reminds me of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon series that I used to watch when I was a kid, dating myself very hard there. But this is the first book in the Lone Wolf series, Flight from the Dark.
All right, we have another one from the British Library Publishing here. They do some great holiday books, but we have a children's literary treasury, magical stories for every feeling. So this is a lovely compendium of children's stories that makes for a great gift. It's also the perfect size for reading because it's a nice hardcover, but it doesn't fall out of your hands while you're trying to hold it up and read with a child. So it sits perfectly in your lap to read. But this one follows, it has 50 different stories in there, little excerpts from different novels, and they're all sorted by mood. So it has things like, I want to read a story where the gap between this world and another is only thin, or I want to read a story to spend time with my favorite characters. And as it goes through these, it has lots of the classic stories that you might know, like A. A. Milne, Lewis Carroll, C.S. Lewis, but it also includes newer ones. Like it has some stories by authors like Kelly Yang or Catherine Rundell in there as well. It also includes 6 different treasures from the British Library, which are stories that have gone out of print and faded from notice. And one of those stories is actually the oldest story in this book from 1858, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe as a children's story that she had written. And for every book, it gives a little bit of context right before you get into the story, just so you know kind of what's happening before this chapter you're about to read. It gives you some commentary from the author, or sorry, the editor. And the editor of this is Anna James, who is also known as the author of the Pages and Co., the Book Wanderer series, which has done really well. And she really brings that spirit of book wandering and traveling in and out of your favorite children's books into this compendium. So this is one of those beautiful treasuries that you can kind of give to somebody and it will sit on their shelves for years. And I think if I had had this as a child, it would still be on my shelves now. And it makes the perfect gift for anybody who wants to experience those stories and also is a great starting point for getting into some new books that you maybe hadn't discovered before.
Okay, this next one is from Fingerprint Publishing, and it is a collection of 5 children's classics. It includes The Little Prince, Peter Pan, The Secret Garden, The Wizard of Oz, and A Little Princess. Earlier, you might remember that Travis was describing for you all the fingerprint promo that we have with the hardcover classics. Well, these box sets are also part of that promo. So this would be part of that 70%. It could be something that you add to that order that we already talked about. I think this makes, I mean, obviously, these are classics. They have some really nice, great packaging, really nice covers. They are the unabridged stories. So a perfect sort of starter set for of childhood classics for a new reader who's maybe just kind of coming into this reading level. For me, I was a longtime bookseller, and we oftentimes would have, grandparents that would come into the store around the holidays and say, "Hey, I'm really looking for some sort of like keepsake gift or special gift for my grandchildren. I really want them to become readers." This is exactly the type of thing I would recommend, where it's this nice little gifty set. For all 5 books in this box set, it's only $24.99, so still very, very reasonable. List price for one of your customers to pick up. Yeah, I think this is, like I said, a great little starter set for some children's classics.
All right, and that is all of our titles that we had to present today for our holiday and gifty books. And so I just want to say thank you for joining us and let you know that we have our next session will be on October 30th, and we'll be discussing key drop-in titles that you may have missed throughout the year or other ones that were our favorites that we really want to make sure that you're picking up. And the October session will be our last rep picks of 2024. So join us for a last hurrah. We're going to take some time off for the holidays while everyone is very busy hand selling all of the books in their store. And we will continue doing our newsletters in the meantime as well. And then I also want to make sure everyone knows that we do have that newsletter I just mentioned. We send out at least a monthly newsletter in addition to, one other notice that may want everyone to be aware of. So you can sign up at the link here, and I think Travis can drop that link in the chat below as well.
Just dropped it.
So that's a great place to keep up with what's going on in the indie world for IPG. And are there any other questions or things to resolve?
Not in the chat. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Is this on Edelweiss, this collection?
Yeah, I can reshare it. I dropped it at the very beginning in the chat, but I can add it again. Let me just grab that real quick.
Well, there'd be a link off of the IPG page, right?
I think once we get our website updated, the person who manages our website is on a vacation in Greece.
Oh.
So
Oh,
this
that's
is the
too
last thing
bad.
on her mind.
Yeah, but But the collection link that Travis just shared will take you to all of the titles that we presented today. Yeah, I mean, don't we all wish we were on a vacation in Greece?
I mean, she's celebrating her 30th birthday. I wish I was celebrating my 30th birthday.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good too. I have not very much not 30 coming up. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you all again for joining us. We always appreciate your time and interest. It means a lot to us. We love putting together these lists for you all. And hopefully we'll see you in October.
Thanks for coming by, everybody.
Hey,
Thank
everyone.
you.